Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for February 5th through 11th. This week I read 2 books, I watched 4 shows, I watched 1 movie, and I finished listening to 1 book. First this week I finished Kill the Next One by Federico Exat. I remembered seeing this on a list of books that my library had recently pre-ordered, and since it arrived recently I decided to give it a go. This book involves discussions of murder and suicide, so if that's not in your scope of entertainment, you might want to skip forward just a little bit. This story follows Ted McKay, who at the beginning of the book is just about to kill himself, but is rudely interrupted by somebody knocking on his door. This man says he's from a secret agency and urges Ted to join a suicide circle, in which members kill off criminals who didn't pay for their crimes, and also a previous member of the pack, before being murdered themselves, causing their families less grief than a suicide would entail. As the plot unfolds, you realize a few things. That Ted is a very unreliable narrator, that there's a lot of mystery in what will become his last time on Earth, and nothing is quite as straightforward as it seems. This book was hard to put down because new pieces of the puzzle kept cropping up, and new information was constantly changing my perception. Any time where what was going on didn't quite add up, the perception shifted, and parts became clearer while bringing in completely different components. If you are in favor of the psychological thriller genre, you should put this book on your TBR. The second book I finished this week was Paper Girls 2, which is a graphic novel set on Hell Day 1988, which one-year Paper Girl means November 1st, or the day after Halloween, when costume-enveloped bratty teenagers are still roaming the streets and making your day hell. This comic picks up where the first edition left off, and because a lot of things happen in the first comic that I don't want to spoil, I'll just say that this one got even weirder. There's some excellent humor, you get to learn more about the main characters, and even though it makes my head spin, I'm really looking forward to the third one. This week in Grey's Anatomy, I went from Season 10, Episode 7 to Season 11, Episode 7. I'm getting ever closer to what the end of Netflix has to offer me, but I also know that all 5 seasons of Private Practice are available, so I will have my rhymes fixed for a while. One of the themes that is constantly explored throughout the show is family, be it blood relatives, finding family you left behind, finding family you didn't even know you had, the family you create out of necessity, or the decision to extend your family through having children. Even the consideration of having children is thoroughly examined, not only through patients in the hospital, but through the characters in the main cast. Some have children biologically, planned or not. Abortion is discussed, some adopt, and one couple even discussed surrogacy recently. One character has always been strongly opposed to having children, which is a valid viewpoint that is constantly questioned by those characters who can't imagine their futures not involving children. Increasing the amount of Shondaland shows in my life, I watched episodes 3 through 5 of the 2nd season of How to Get Away with Murder. Again, this is a rewatch for me, but I deeply hope the 3rd season hits Canadian Netflix sometime soon. But in the meantime, a whole new season of Scandal became available recently. This show is really good at blurring lines, period, no matter what dichotomy you're talking about. Good or evil, right or wrong, likable or insufferable, love or sex. It is a constant reminder that life is complex. This week I also watched episodes 10 and 11 of the 1st season of Deep Space Nine. The Nagus was entertaining, although very predictable. Although the 2nd episode we watched is focused on Odo, who is one of our favorite characters, it paled in comparison. I really wish they upped the tempo on that theme song because it is Nap City every time we have to sit through it. This week a friend of mine moved into town, so we started right where we left off watching The Walking Dead, Season 3, Episodes 9 through 11. It's been a couple of years since I've seen the show, so I had to be reminded of a couple of things. But given that I know that the actor that played Denny in Grey's Anatomy shows up later in the series, and is prominent enough to grace some posters, it's definitely worth refamiliarizing myself with the trauma of the 3rd season. I think I've heard some spoilers or plot points over the years, but some of them might have been comic specific. So I'm not waiting for any event to happen, but rather trying to avoid seeing anything online about the show, and just enjoying the plot as it unfolds. The movie I watched this week was Zootopia. My friend Monica invited me over to watch it, and we filmed a video with our opinions, and as soon as that video is up, I will link to it. It will likely be a couple of weeks. Basically though, we thought it was a good try, and that they should keep on trying, but the movie often missed its mark and mixed its metaphors. This week I listened to Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. I read a couple of Rowell's books for the first time last year, and they left me wanting to explore more of her writing. This book is set in 1980s Omaha, and is alternatively narrated by Eleanor Douglas, a red-headed, heavy-set, uniquely dressed white girl, and Sheridan Park, a short, half-Korean lover of comic books and punk music. Both are 16 and they meet on Eleanor's first day of grade 11, which was delayed for Eleanor because her abusive stepfather just recently let her back from a year of exile. This book alternated between warming my heart with its adorable first love tale between these two misfits, and setting my heart into a ragey fire as I witnessed the injustices of not only her stepfather, but how her peers gang up to make her life hell. I wasn't popular in high school either, but if I had to live through this level of torment, I might not have survived. I identified with a few of Eleanor's traits, such as her lack of care when it came to fashion, and her enjoyment of reading, but also empathized with how difficult it was for Park to get to know her. She's very guarded, and rightfully so, given her upbringing, and seeing both sides of their relationship made me want to leap in and fix things, and I spent a lot of my time hoping things would be okay. That's it for this week. If you've read, listened to, or watched any of these things, let me know your thoughts about them down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can also super subscribe by hitting that bell notification. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you next week. Bye!